So one of the most commonly misunderstood concepts in audio is the difference between polarity and phase. You'll hear the term polarity reverse, but you'll also hear terms like phase reverse or inverted phase used interchangeably with polarity reverse as if they were the same thing, as if phase and polarity were somehow related. In reality, phase and polarity really aren't related at all, other than the fact that under the right circumstances, they can sometimes yield the same result. So I've set up a little experiment with my Yamaha CL3 that I hope will shed a little bit of light on the topic. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got two tone generators. So I've got a 750 and a 400. I've combined them back into two identical channels. So these two channels will have the exact same signal on them so that I can then take one of those signals and change something about it to see what happens. I can change the polarity, I can change the phase, and see what happens to the combined signals. So if I turn on my 750 and I change the polarity of one signal relative to the other, since they're exactly the same signal, not surprisingly, the signal is canceled out. I can also change the time relationship between the two. As it so happens, 750, a time difference of 0.66 milliseconds, gives me the exact same effect. I have essentially delayed one of the signals relative to the other by 0.66 milliseconds, and that makes it 180 degrees out of phase with itself. Not out of polarity, out of phase. It does have the same effect. The two cancel each other out. Let's go back and do this exact same thing, but let's do it with 400 hertz. So if I go ahead and change the polarity on one channel, sure enough, it cancels itself out. I can also change the time relationship between the two. In this case, it turns out that 1.2 milliseconds is exactly 180 degrees out of phase with itself. That is the half the length of the total wavelength is 1.26 milliseconds. So I achieve the same effect. So clearly I can achieve the same effect by altering phase and also by altering polarity. But what happens when I try to do it with two tones at the same time? Okay, so now I'm running my 750 and my 400 hertz tones at the same time. If I go in and I alter the polarity and reverse the polarity, sure enough, they cancel each other out. Exactly what you would expect. But watch what happens when I try to alter the phase relationship. If I alter the phase relationship for the 750 tone, the 400 tone continues to come through. If I alter the relationship for the 400, the 750 continues to come through. And I know what you're thinking, just push both buttons, Brian. The problem is, that doesn't fix it either. Because now, the difference between those two channels is the difference between 0.66 milliseconds and 1.26 milliseconds. They are not 180 degrees out of phase with each other. And so you see that the issue is that when you're dealing with phase, it's all about time. So hopefully what we've learned here is that polarity and phase actually don't really have anything to do with each other. Polarity is which direction did the wave start? Did it start pushing or did it start pulling? And it affects all frequencies equally. So if something is polarity reversed and combined back with itself, it will cancel out and you will not have sound across all frequencies. If something is out of phase, then that means that there's a difference in the time domain, which will cause some frequencies to cancel, some frequencies to actually be reinforced, and all sorts of other weird things that we don't want to happen. Thanks for watching up to this point. As always with all my videos, I have hidden several mistakes in the middle of the video. I just don't know where they are. So if you want to point those out to me, feel free to point those out in comments. I also am super happy if you hit like, and even happier if you hit subscribe. We've got lots of videos on this channel for a lot of different kinds of things. And we hope to see you back here real soon. Thanks.